Okay, so welcome in for round two. Just really felt the need to talk about Lily and Jack today. So I'm glad that there are people who have been able to come and join me. I know it's a particularly late live, but, you know, Lily and Jack, you just got to. I agree, Grover, it really would. Hi, Summer Breeze, good to see you in here. Welcome in, Grover, Teresa, Ariel, Pinky. Anyone else that I've missed, welcome in. Yeah, it was the days before smartphones. So, it would have been scary for her mum. For anyone who's not reading chat, if you're watching on replay or just listening, we're just talking about Port Arthur in Tassie from 1996, and I was saying a friend of mine was going to go down there for the day, and it was a regular thing, and her mother thought that she had gone down because she hadn't told her she changed her mind. And, of course, her mother couldn't get hold of her because there were no smartphones. And when the news came out, her mother was beside herself for hours before her daughter finally rang her and said, no, I didn't go down there. Welcome in, Ernestine, 12:03 a.m. Wow, that is dedication. Thank you for coming in. I really wanted to talk about Lily and Jack today. They're always on my mind, and, you know, I love doing my Maddie Mondays, but today I also wanted to come back to Lily and Jack. Now, just for something a little bit amusing, you know how I've been sharing my MacBook screen quite a bit, I've started sharing my MacBook screen, showing what images come up on my MacBook when I get it set up. So I didn't actually look this morning before I jumped in for this morning's live stream. So I don't know if it changed. But after I got off StreamYard, I had a look, and there's my MacBook screen. And as you can see, it's Lily on there. And just zooming in, this is the picture of all the damn pictures to come up on my MacBook today, and this is what comes up. So God bless you, Lily, if this is your way of saying happy birthday to me, you beautiful, beautiful little girl. Again, it confirms that I definitely needed to talk about them today, because apparently I was meant to talk about them today. I did discover something. Now, I have to say here, with the Maddie Soto videos, that number is not accurate, because a short while after I'd been covering Maddie's case, I discovered that a whole bunch of my videos weren't being shown, or they seemed to be invisible. And I did a panic, and I started making all my Maddie Soto videos private because I didn't want them to be gone for good. And I haven't gone back through and made them public again. So that number on Maddie's videos is a bit low. But thank you. Thank you for the birthday wishes. Yeah, I thought that was so cute of to have Lily come up then. And I'll put comments up on stage so people in the vertical chat can see each other. So yeah, God bless Lily, beautiful little angel she is. It would still be under 400 videos, I think, for Maddie. But that means that Lily and Jack have basically overtaken Maddie Soto in terms of the most coverage on my channel. Thank you for the jewels, much appreciated. Apparently I have. Apparently I have made 523 videos on Jack and Lily. Obviously some of those will be live streams. I think that might include a handful of YouTube shorts. But I know, isn't it so cute? She wanted to share her cake with me. Just beautiful little Lily. I would make however many more, exactly 523, 5,023. I will keep making videos about Lily and Jack until there is justice and until they are found. Hi Bonza, welcome in. So yeah, they have now overtaken Maddie Soto in terms of the most content that I've put out, and I'm not slowing down. And when you think about it, we're well over 400 days. So it makes sense given that I was covering this case from the first week. Now, I can't remember when I did my first video. I know I believe that I was about a day behind Paula. So Paula put out a video. I was sitting there watching it, and I saw Daniel doing his fake crying and peeking under his hand, and that was it. I was in. Oh dear. Should I actually translate or just let people wonder, Bonza? And thank you. I have. There's been barely any days when I haven't talked about Lily and Jack. Oh, thank you so much, Ariel. Very much appreciated. Yeah, I'm in here for the long haul for Lily and Jack, but the 523, I think that's, it's reflective of how long we've been waiting for answers, but it's also reflective of I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to keep covering this case. I'm going to keep talking about Lily and Jack as long as it takes. Welcome in, Summer Breeze. Good to see you in here again. Did I actually say welcome in, Hemi, Mr. Hemi, and TJ's mum? I probably didn't. So, yeah, in it for the long haul. For anyone who missed it, I've been sharing this. I'll pull the comments off for half a moment. This is Daniel's magical scar. You missed me while I was gone. Thank you. This is Daniel's magical scar that he apparently got when he was 19 or 20, that transforms. Even, 12, 13 years on, it continues to transform. So I shared that yesterday. Yeah, I think everyone does get it, Bonza. I've shared this in yesterday's live stream. I also did a video yesterday that I put out last night, which basically, to me, seems like a major admission from Daniel, which dumps him and Malaya in it. Is that how many days it is already? Oh my gosh. I usually go and check out Belinda's page because she keeps us up to date with how many days it is. I've just not kept up in the last couple of days, and like I said, I had no internet over on the other side of the house where my bedroom is last night. So usually when I go to bed and I answer people's emails and messages and then I look on Facebook and stuff, that never happened because there was no internet. Yep, never looked most prominent than the days after the disappearance. It's, I've got scars, and my scars never get bruised and, well, okay, the scar on my ankle where I had my operation does swell, but it doesn't go red. It just goes, it swells from, you know, because it's crappy. But, you know, I know I keep saying that I need to focus more on my other cases. I keep saying that I need to go back to, you know, do fewer days of covering Lily and Jack so I can focus on my other cases, to, you know, do fewer Lily and Jack live streams, and I keep coming back here. Yeah, an old scar, like my ass. Seriously, Daniel. Welcome in, baby monkey. Good to see you in here. Yeah, someone got him good. Someone got him really good. 480, 490. It's still too many days, isn't it? It's time for justice. It's time for answers. The interview in the rain, that was tricky because the lighting wasn't very good. I did do, hang on. I'll play that. Hopefully I've still got that video saved here on this computer. I might have, no, I think I deleted that video. Hang on. Oh, here we go. Okay, let's watch this again. So this is Daniel, the progression.
The last few days have been very stressful. I mean, ever since.
So because of the lighting, you can see that it's puckered, but you can't really get a good look at it.
Since Friday morning, when we noticed that the children were gone, immediately jumped in the vehicle, surveyed all the areas, many dirt roads, many culverts as I could, and waited for the police to get there.
Isn't it amazing the difference in him between then and now? This act of the poor sad me. Yeah, you can see that it is like very prominent. That's for sure. Mr. Bobblehead. I think when we see this interview, this is such a clear example of how much of a chameleon this guy is. Looking at this as opposed to the most recent interview that he did with Angela, which is on the end of this bit. Okay, this is the...
I'm out here still searching, still fighting to try to find them. That's all I can do.
The message is still, if anyone knows anything.
If anybody knows anything, just come forward as soon as possible. 2 little kids are still out there. I want to find them. That's really all I can do. Still searching every day. I'm waiting for information.
You're so right about that, baby monkey. You can see he was so off it when he did that interview. I know, he's a freaking... He has put on weight. That's for sure. Yeah. Let me remind you that you're meant to be pleading for these children. Like, yeah, it's so clear when you, especially that first interview, like, unreal. And he claims that, oh, I stopped using before they went missing. Yep, exactly. Well said.
I have to let them do a lot of their stuff with the aircrafts and everything else, and dogs and searchers. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be coordinated, and I can't just go running through the woods. I want to, but I just can't right now because the search is just so far out.
So then we have starting to heal a little bit on May 31st.
Every day when I wake up, it's just feels like I'm reliving a nightmare of May 2nd. But the main feelings of from sadness have just turned to anger because there's no evidence as of after 1 month, and it's really taken a toll.
Okay,
Sorry.
Daniel. So what's the latest with this case?
I think we're gonna have to dive into some questions.
Such a magical scar. See, now in January, this magical scar from, 12, 15 years ago, now it's gone back to like looking like a scar. Yeah, exactly. I mean, my scar on my ankle from when I had my the pin put in my ankle, that's maybe 2 years ago now. Sometimes it gets like a little bit red, but it doesn't have this big gaping hole. Yeah, I'm thinking, I suspect that Logan might have done a bit of makeup for him at some point in time to help him out.
So I can, really try to answer that because, I mean, there's so much.
I'll sod off, Daniel. So yeah, it's pretty clear that's not a scar. There's no way you could look at that and say that is a scar. Not in a million years. The other thing I wanted to bring up, and this is from yesterday's live stream, where Daniel's telling Sonny that, in the last so many days, Malaya, or I don't know, what was he saying, the last months, weeks, whatever, no arguments. Everything was calm, no arguments. Yep, for sure. Oh dear. So Daniel's story of the phone calls increased between Malaya and Cindy in the last weeks and months. Again, we need to look at the documents. So first of all and this has bugged me ever since I read it, Cindy would have seen the kids on the phone. Would have seen the kids on the phone if what? I expect there to be an if after that statement. If they'd been inside, if they'd been present. So this is the discussion. Malaya had a video call from her mother, Cindy, at 3:37. And I know the time of that keeps getting confused, so I wanted to put that up first. Daniel's statement to the RCMP, which does not have 5 to 6 or 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 phone calls a day. What he told the RCMP was Malaya would have talked to her mother later in the day because her mother called 2 or 3 times every day. Her grandmother also probably called. Yeah, he's a greasy mug. Totally. It is a perfect description. So, yeah, again, Daniel, you big fat liar. You can't change the story and expect us not to actually notice that you've changed the story once again. So I thought it was worth pointing that out as well. Now I've got to find the right video because I've got so many different videos in here. So yeah, I thought it was worth pointing out how much of a big fat liar Daniel is. Maybe I should do one video where I just point out all Daniel's lies. But then I don't know if InShot actually can save videos that are that long. Yeah, how often is it answered? That's a good question. And honestly, I don't think Daniel would know how many times Cindy called during the day, because I suspect that Daniel spent a lot of the time not in the house. Was it Sonny or Charmaine when they were asking him about the children, and he couldn't really say anything about their routines or anything like that. Yeah, we've heard from Cindy and Patty that she was definitely talking to them every day. I guess maybe, still isolated from friends and stuff. And there would have been limitations, I guess, on what she could say to Patty and Cindy. But at the same time, I really don't think Daniel was present when she was making these calls to Cindy. I suspect Daniel was off doing Daniel more than he was in the house with Malaya and the children. Yeah. Can you imagine being able to spend that much time on the phone when you've got a 16-month-old baby? I suspect that, it would have only been occasions when the baby was down and sleeping. It is a lot of calls for someone who doesn't get along with her mother. I should have had a look at what Cindy said. I suspect that when he said this to RCMP, that he was probably over-exaggerating, because in his mind, he would see just one call as being too many. So you just said the same as me. Yeah, I think it's pretty clear that he was over-exaggerating. He was selling a story. When he told Sonny that it had escalated to 4 or 5 or 6 times a day, what he was trying to sell there was that they were plotting for someone to come and collect the children and hide them on the reserve, because that's the story that he was trying to push. So, yeah. No, you're not calling too much. That's a normal relationship. Exactly. And not only that, and I just read that. I was going to say not only that, it wouldn't work with her shifts, but then I finished reading what you were saying. So it's probably a good idea, before I comment on people's comments, that I read them in full before I start running my mouth. But yeah, you're spot on. She had a full-time job. She was working shifts. So she wouldn't have always been able to coordinate having phone calls with Malaya. So, yeah. I liked Bonza's comment after I said if I did a video on Daniel's lives, it would be a long one. She's like, yeah, 9 hours. He has to lie so much. Exactly. That's what he was doing. He was setting up the narrative for Malaya and Cindy were responsible for the children going missing, because Malaya put them in Cindy's car and Cindy drove them away. Hi, Deborah. Good to see you in here. Yeah, that bingo. That makes sense now. I was trying to figure out how he could be saying this, but he's actually said both. He's said that what was it? Something like they both look at each other's phones, or that sort of coercive control justification of, yeah, we've both got the passwords for each other's phones. We both look at each other's phones. Because, you know, then it doesn't sound like he's basically controlling her and keeping an eye on what she does. Yeah, if she was on night shift, she would have been asleep for a lot of the day. There's no way anyone who is working in that sort of nursing industry doing night shifts or doing any sort of shifts is going to be able to have 5 or 6 phone calls with their daughter through the day. I think you're right. I think you're so right. Even if he's telling the truth, he's going to twist how he says it. Yeah, I think he was doing something like that outside of the trailer. Hi, Tamkins. Good to see you in here. Because just the thing that really stuck with me, and I can't remember which live stream, but when it was either Sonny or Charmaine asked him about the children, and it was, again, the really vague stuff. He didn't know what their favourite foods were, what their favourite shows were. He said, oh, they liked watching unboxing on the tablet, stuff like that. He just didn't know anything about what their routines, their daily life. That's a good question. And welcome in, Milky Way. I suspect they probably never took drug dogs in. It must have been so obvious on day one. When you look at that interview in the rain, it must have been so obvious that he was on something. I guess I've got bigger fish to fry. I know Halifax have got drug detection dogs. So, you know, if they wanted to, if they were to take dogs to the house now, they would probably detect. But I suspect that they just made note of it. They probably made sure to get some. They probably made sure that they were going to get some body cam footage of him to basically have evidence of him being off his face. When you look at, because you look at the arrests that have been happening since Lily and Jack went missing. I think the focus in terms of Gairloch Road is for Lily and Jack. So they don't want to preempt things by, you know, arrests for drugs. But also they played him really well. Oh, I know. Can you imagine the conversations? Because, it's, you know, the fact that he was still, like, that interview, you could tell how off the show he was. All the red flags were there. No wonder they had major crimes in on day 2. But I think the other thing here is that had they acted on his drug use in the first couple of days, they would have blown what they've achieved since then, because he thought they were his friends. He was so cocky. I think they gauged his personality very quickly and went, this guy is a serious narcissist. We're going to let him think that we're on his side. We're going to let him think that we're his buddies. And they kept that up right up until the dog handler came in. And even when the dog handler came in, they according to Daniel, they gave him sympathy. And I could believe that that would be the case. Because up until he got charged for these crimes that he's doing, that he's headed to jail, well, hopefully, that he's headed to court for on September 3rd, up until then, he still thought they were his buddies. Yeah, he thought they were his equals. He thought he was part of the investigative team. So, yeah, I think it was strategy. They could have got him probably on day one for possession. But they read his personality perfectly. And they basically let him run unchecked. And now we have hours and hours of footage of Daniel talking and digging himself a deeper and deeper hole. The 56-year-old woman that wasn't named in the raid in December. Yeah. And interesting too that this schizo that comes out in February, just suddenly appears from nowhere in February, is actually 56, but keeps telling people that she's 54. I hadn't made that connection. They suspected him from day one. I mean, can you imagine, as even without bringing major crimes into it, day one, walking onto that property, you have this tweaker who's not present when you arrive, and the first you see of him is him trying to park over by a marsh away from the property and trying to sneak off into the woods, like red flag number one. And then you call him over and he has this massive gash, this fresh gash on his cheek, like red flag number two. And then based on his narrative, the moment they said, yes, you can go back into the woods, he shot off like a dog chasing a rabbit. Red flag number three, and that's before we go any further. So I reckon they were onto him straight away. I suspect that the only reason they let him head off back into the woods at that point in time, I would like to know in terms of when it was that they let him back into the woods. Did they wait till they had a drone up in the air first? Because it wouldn't surprise me that they've made him wait till they got that first drone up, because they had that first drone up within an hour. And then you had the helicopter in and you had a second drone. So I'm wondering if they waited till that first drone was up and then said, yep, you can go back in the woods now. And obviously the drone would have been looking to see if the children were about, but they probably would have been making sure that they were keeping tabs on him as well. Daniel logic. Don't you love his logic? He didn't have any rugs because if he did, the police would have arrested him. Therefore, he had none because he's got no idea how these sort of investigations work. Yeah, they would have been, day one, they would have seen what was going on with him. All the signs that you would look for in a missing children investigation. Not only that, when you've got two little children that have been reported missing at 10 o'clock, the stories start changing the moment they start asking the parents about it. So like the Malaya ringing 911 and saying that they were known to wander. And then when they sat her down in the vehicle and questioned her, she said they were not known to wander. So immediately, when you get these contradicting stories between her and Daniel, when you get her changing her story from the 911 call to when she's sitting in an interview with them, they would have been onto them straight away. And, because the children were not found within the first hour or so, that's when the red flags would have been really like, okay, something is definitely wrong here. He wasn't using weed. He was using other stuff. I mean, him by his own admission has said that he was into the heavy stuff. Just having a look at. He didn't he claim he gave up weed because he saw his son as a baby and went, I've got to stop now? Because, that's good, Daniel. So you claim that you stopped weed, but you kept going with a bit of mathematical stuff and stuff like that, even though you claim that the reason you gave up weed was because of your son. I wonder when he talks about Malaya using a shatter pen, if that was actually his shatter pen. Because remember in the documents, Malaya talks about that they stopped at the tobacco store to get a vape for Daniel. So, yeah, exactly. That would have been, you've just said what I was saying, that basically I suspect that was this shatter pen that he's talking about that he claims Malaya smoked. And he's like, and she left it here when she left. Yeah, but Daniel, you said there were no drugs on the property. Which is it? Can you imagine? I reckon he was mixing. Whoops. This is probably half the problem, that he was mixing. Apparently so. Because, well, we don't know if it was before, but according to him, he hid it from Malaya for all this time. And this is after someone saying to him, oh, Malaya said that she found out when she was being induced with baby M. So to me, it sounds like he was definitely using it before she got pregnant. He himself has said that he used it for a very long time. So I think when they got together, he was using. He was probably using at Paddy's place. For all we know, that could have been part of the reason that she didn't like him, didn't want him there. I suspect so. I reckon that's what was going on. I strongly believe that Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, he was on a bender. That's why he doesn't really have an accurate idea of what happened Wednesday, Thursday in terms of timeline, because he was off the show. If they went to Paddy's, then I do believe that he stayed in the car because he was off the show. Just, my belief on that, based on what he said, based on all the things, I think, I think he was just completely off the show for like 2-3 days around the time that Lily and Jack went missing. I've not heard of any mathematicians that are snobs, but who knows? Good point. Yeah. Ariel made a comment in my members only the other day that reminded me that I actually did a lot of research several months back in relation to CPS in Nova Scotia. And I was going to do a video about that because there was something that really stood out to me that I think is significant in this case. So I need to pull all that research back out, and I will do a video because I do think CPS dropped the ball. We know that they attended the property in December, and I just don't think, based on what we know, that they should have just walked away from that. I would have thought that there would have been enough there for them to say, we need to take these children, or we need to put an order in place that's going to put requirements on these two parents to make them do the right thing. Well, I think what it's going to come down to is, after arrests are made and after the case has been prosecuted, I think my gut instinct is that people are going to have to fight for an investigation into the CPS handling of this case, because I suspect that it's going to be swept under the rug. The Phoebe Bishop case that I covered last year, I shared photos from inside the house where Phoebe was living with her flatmates, and the walls were black. So what's the way? Always the way. Hang on, I was looking for. Yep. Well, they probably didn't care because it wasn't their money. Elle was buying groceries, so that wasn't an obligation for Daniel. He could worry about his mathematical stuff. I really hope there's going to be an inquiry. I just hope it's not like how they do it here in Australia, where there's just, the inquiries never end and we never really get proper answers. Now, I think we have heard that directly from Daniel, haven't we? Or am I imagining that? But either way, they were there December and they did nothing. Okay, you're wrong, Hemi. You're wrong. Is that better? We'll tell you you're wrong if that makes you feel better. But yeah, you probably are right. Yeah. Oh gosh. Therein lies the problem. Don't forget, this file went straight to the minister. That, to me, if this was Australia, if I heard that a file went straight to the minister, that would tell me that this is going to be buried. I hope that is not the case. Yeah, I've got to find out where I heard that from. I think it came directly from Daniel, but I could be wrong. I suspect that the only connection, my thoughts are, and I could be completely wrong on this, My thoughts are that it was probably just an added stressor. I think, yeah, you're right, Ariel. It would be surprising to see CPS take children in December, just before Christmas time. I suspect that in terms of if CPS was coming back, that let's have some pictures of Jack and Lilly while I'm talking. I suspect that if CPS was coming back, that would have been more of just an added stressor at the time, as opposed to, based on everything we've heard, I do think that it was something kind of sudden, something that wasn't planned. I could be wrong. But it would certainly add to the stress of the situation. Yeah. But then again, how do we know how truthful she was being as well? Yeah, the fact of the matter is they are stretched to the max. They go through workers like nothing else. There's never enough foster families. There's, more cases than there are workers to cover the cases. And that's universal, whether that's Canada, Australia, America, New Zealand, it's universal. To me, that just says that priorities need to change. Funding needs to be found. There needs to be a way of keeping workers in the job so that you're not constantly cycling through workers who don't have that long-term experience. There needs to be a way of making sure that there is enough workers to be making sure that while you are prioritising the whole keeping families together, that's not at the cost of the children. Yeah, exactly. No, Malaya was... No, that was after. I believe that message was after she'd left Daniel, after she started communicating with Belinda again. I think, I'm pretty certain. So, bit of deflection though. I think, given that I think that was after Baby M was taken. So I think that was kind of deflecting from the situation. And this is the thing that is just pissing me off no end. Whether it's Australia, whether it's Canada, whether it's the United States. Or England even. Same thing there. The situation is always the same. They've now got this thing where they prioritise keeping the children with their families. It's better for the families to keep them together. Well, this is what happens when you prioritise keeping the children with the families. Little Kumanjai, little baby in the Northern Territory here. Yep, let's keep her with her mother and not give her mother any support whatsoever. The case in the United States, this is an old case where it seems like the guy, well, we know the guy killed his wife. They had 2 little children. He killed his wife, and the children were in care. Now, I don't know if they were living with a grandmother or if they were in CPS care, but he was given access visits because at that point in time they hadn't hadn't kind of connected him fully. They hadn't arrested him or anything. He was given access visits with his children, even though it was a huge red flag. And this one particular time, the child protection worker who was meant to supervise the children on an access visit with him turned up at his house with the children. He snatched the children into the house, and you can hear there's the phone calls out there, the dispatch phone calls out there. She rang up dispatch and was saying, I'm here doing this access visit with this father, and he's just taken the children in the house. And he killed himself and the children. But hey, let's keep the families together. And that's a big thing. There's another recent case which I was going to cover, and I just kind of got swamped and didn't get to it, where there was a mother who her child had been taken away from her because she wasn't coping. She had issues with drug dependence and stuff like that. They had a few weekends where the mother had the child for like, I think it was like, 2 or 3 weekends in a row where they'd let the mother have the child unsupervised. And then they gave the child back to her full time, and they just pulled out all the supports. And the child ended up deceased because the mother didn't have the coping strategies. Yeah, so many failures. And you see the same results here in Australia, Hemi. We had a baby bonus here. I don't think it's still Don't forget, though, he's the father of Kumanjaya, little baby, is in jail because of domestic abuse, because he was beating the mother. So I can sort of understand them wanting to keep him in there, especially when you look at the way they were going to go at that Lewis guy after what happened to Kumanjaya, little baby. Oh my gosh. Do we still have the baby bonus here, or is it just that they're still pushing it? Most irresponsible thing any government has ever thought of doing. Here, when people get their family benefits, their big payout, you know when it's happening because you see all these people at Target or whatever buying new televisions. They have children because they get the baby bonus. And then they spend the money on luxuries and toys. Yeah, I think that's the one, Powell or something. It was a horrible, horrible case. I think he shot himself and the children, and I think didn't the house go up in flames or something? I can't remember. It's one that I've kind of blocked out, but I also remember it. I know. Because the sort of people that see these baby benefits, that see these as a way of getting money, they've probably never had $1,000 or something in their bank account before. So they think, wow, that's a lot of money, let's have a kid. And it happens. Yeah, people just buy crap. The baby bonus is pointless because the people that use it responsibly are the people who were going to have a kid anyway and had, budgeted for it and were planning for a family, and it doesn't make any difference because they didn't go, let's have another kid. They just went, well, this is useful. We can put this towards the costs of the new baby. But the people who shouldn't be having more babies and who are going to basically not look after them, they want the money to spend on televisions and new cars and things like that. Oh, so frustrating. So frustrating. Yeah, Malaya buying stuffed toys for her children that she knows aren't coming back. It's you don't get child tax credit monthly if your kids are not in your custody. Now, apparently, and wasn't she able to get some extra child tax credit or something, like, or get it back paid or something after she moved out? I know Chaucer explained it to me, but I get confused because it's not something that I'm really familiar with. Would only get addressed in the next tax cycle, right? Got it. Thank you. Did you ever hear the 911 call with the CPS worker, and the dispatch person was just a complete idiot, and this CPS worker was just getting more and more beside herself because he'd set the house on fire. Rumor has it Shah has accessed Jordan's principal for the children. I'm not quite, you might have to reword that for me so I can understand. Yeah, I think you're right, Ariel. I think it's got to do with Janie throwing the toys away on the road. And you're back. Good to see you in here, Summer Breeze. I agree with you. I think it's a pushback. It's the children's toys have been thrown out, so she's going to buy new ones, even though she knows that they're not coming back. I think, too, it also is a way of trying to shut out the whole knowledge of them being deceased. I've said when I was looking at that interview, there's a lot of cognitive dissonance there. I don't know how much she believes when she says that she thinks that the children are alive somewhere, or whether it is just full-on manipulation. True. I mean, it was 12 months later when Janie threw those toys out. She is. People got upset with me when I said that I felt that it wasn't fair of any clinician or the people around her to allow her, if this is truly a fantasy that she believes. People got upset with me when I said that it's not helping her. I think Oh, okay. Oh, right. See, I was thinking Jordan as in Jordan Geddes, and that's why I was getting confused. So rumour has it that Malaya has accessed Jordan's principal funding for the children. It's a special fund for Indian kids up to 40,000 each. Wowzers. Welcome in, Joyous. Good to see you here. You cannot confirm or deny, like Daniel. Interesting rumour, though, that's for sure. Oh, that's true. They don't have status. That has been confirmed by Michelle Glasgow. They do not have status. I know Daniel and Durwood were pushing that very early on, but Michelle Glasgow came out and confirmed that that's not truthful. Hayley said that Malaya is getting a lot of support from the reserve. I believe that the place that she's at, they don't need status. Okay, cool. I believe that her house is basically provided for her. It sounds like she was given coupons for food and stuff at the reserve. I think, yeah, Hayley said a lot of things in terms of that she was getting a lot of support from the reserve. So she's living quite comfortable from what I understand. I'm going to jot that down. So if I just Google Jordan's principal, that'll bring it up. So these are things that I'm not familiar with because obviously there's something that, we don't have in Australia, or if we do, they have different names. Yeah, that's no doubt the case. Okay, just having a look, see if there's anything I've missed here. That wouldn't surprise me. 1 bedroom for her, 1 bedroom for each of her new cats. And certainly that's not a bad thing, to look after the community. But it does feel that, again, she's getting a free ride. It's a tricky situation. And I know that there's people who don't like me talking about Malaya. There's people who don't like me saying anything that's critical of Malaya. But, Lily and Jack, that's what I'm here for. So, I'm just going to call it as I see it. Uniquely Canadian, yeah. So they don't qualify because they don't have status, and the benefit for missing kids. Well, Daniel especially, even though he was working 1 day a week, legally he wasn't a custodian. So especially with her having moved out, that would pretty much wipe him out, wouldn't it? I would imagine. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, that's the one. Oh dear. Okay, I'm going to remove some of this stuff that I've got down here in studio so I can actually see what I've got saved down the bottom here, because I've just got so much stuff at the moment. Okay, I'm going to put some of this audio up. More lies from Daniel, basically. Just having a look at where we're at. Oh, we even get can't confirm or deny right here from Daniel coming up very soon on your screen.
Went out shopping and all that stuff, right? When you guys went to Acropole and did all that stuff that day and whatever. Okay, and then you guys get home, say, well, the Google says 3:12, so I think it is. So I'll use that time. So you came home. Your mom was outside, or she came outside because you guys just arrived home? Do you remember?
I don't recall that, but usually when we come home, she usually comes out.
So why is Darren now saying the kids are in Boston?
Have I grabbed the wrong video? Is this the stuff that we listened to yesterday? Because this doesn't match my transcript. It is. I'll just play this one through. Hang on, let me just go on a little bit.
RCMP need to tell us major crime needs to be more open and tell us. It's just like, how can they do that? They're collecting.
Yeah, this is the bit I played yesterday, so I'll just skip it on a little bit. Yeah, I think, but he's probably getting money for his finger injury still. Yeah, Daniel. Oh, I do recall. I'll just play it on from here, and then I'll do the pausing and commenting after we get past this part.
Evidence. They can't just give the public everything.
Well, they're not gonna.
Yeah, it's just it doesn't like it's not how not how investigations work. I've been trying to give the public everything I could.
Yeah, because he accidentally got his finger caught in the fan at work and removed the top of the finger by the sounds of it. Sounds like he had time off work for that and had it all in a whatever you call it, like a finger brace kind of thing. So I suspect that he got, some sort of compensation for not being at work with that. And thank you, Workers' Compensation Board, WCB. Thank you, TJ's mum. Yep. I was so altruistic. Yep, that's for sure. Oh, you got to laugh at this.
In correspondence with working with them, like, can I release that?
Oh yeah, it was a big drama for him. I actually skipped over that. I think that was on Charmaine's channel. And when I was going through that audio, I just completely skipped that because I was just like, I can't be bothered. Yes, he will. Oh, yeah, Daniel makes it sound like he was off work for like forever. It's called Don't Do Bong Rips on the Table Saw. Spot on. And I have no doubt that he was under the influence at work. I mean, personally, if I was a manager there, I wouldn't want him there because it would be a risk.
The kids were seen the day ahead of time. And, like, I'm going to say the blanket's planted. Is there anything I can't touch on? I try to only touch on my personal experiences during the investigation or anything that, that's all the interactions that happened with me.
Lots of times you've referenced about, hey, Daniel, like, we believe you're innocent. And is there, do you actually have, just asking, do you actually have anything from a text message to anything that kind of, where you're kind of got a message saying that, Daniel, we know that you didn't have part of it. And like, is there just for receipt purposes?
I love the way Sunny she's very, very careful how she's asking this. She's not being too blunt about it. We know there's going to be no answer to that. Exactly. Now, if this was Australia without OH&S laws, that company would get tens of thousands of dollars worth of fines from like the workplace safety standards or whatever it's called here. And you know, places like that here, you're meant to have an OH&S rep, so it's kind of yeah. Yeah, do not touch the fan blades, Daniel. He's a tool. Yeah. He was really dramatizing it. Poor me, woe was me. Yeah. Oh, classic. Yeah, exactly. Here in Australia, they would not be allowed to use it until it was repaired and replaced. But, you know, again, how do we know that what Daniel is saying is exactly how it happened? Because I would have thought with a big timber mill like that, that safety would be of the essence. So, you nailed it. It is only as unsafe as the dope who sticks their fingers in it. I think that sums it up perfectly. It's probably a perfectly safe fan. He was probably under the influence and thought, what happens if I stick my finger in here and try and touch the fan? Okay, good night, Teresa. Thanks for coming in. I do appreciate the night owls coming in and joining us. Well, you know, it's a possibility, isn't it? Probably one of the world's smallest violin to play for him. Yeah. I suspect there was a bit of mathematical influence, quite likely. Yep, here's one for you, Daniel. Light sockets. Let's know how they work for you. Although, is Canada kind of like America, where it's actually low voltage? Because I know that it's lower voltage. Like PowerPoints and everything in the US are lower voltage from Australia. Here, you want to put your finger in a like a PowerPoint, you're going to get 240 volts right through you. Yeah, good night. Thanks for coming in, Summer Breeze. So it's only half. Well, I would like to extend a formal invite to Daniel to come to Australia and test out our 240 volt PowerPoints and see how they go. Oh, yeah, exactly. Probably wouldn't be hard to prove him accountable. That's for sure. Yeah, we have 240 volts. Here, if you get electrocuted, there's a good chance that you're not going to survive. People do, but yeah, it can be lethal. I think that's why we have oh yeah, I think that's why we have switches on our PowerPoints. Does Canada have switches on their PowerPoints, or is that just an Australian thing? Well, thank you, Pinky. Very much appreciated. But yeah, you know, if he wants to try out PowerPoints, then he probably should come and try them here in Australia, or maybe someone can set up an experiment just for Daniel so that there is one that emulates an Australian PowerPoint. Because, you know, that that would be fun to watch. Sorry, sarcasm.
Not that you have to show them, but I'm just wondering if there was ever anything that was said through a text or correspondence that actually kind of, what's the word I'm looking for, Brandon, you know, solidifies what you've been saying, you know, when you're saying stuff like that. Because obviously, you know, it's like in your head, you're like,
I can't say if anything like that exists, honey.
okay.
Deflection. Like a reset on a wall plug. No. So all our PowerPoints have switches on them that turn them off, on or off. So if we're going to plug something into a PowerPoint, it'll be, I mean, this is how we were raised, you know, you turn the PowerPoint off before you unplug anything. And you leave it turned off when things are unplugged, and then you plug something in and then you turn the switch on. It's a safety thing so that, you know, you're not pulling a plug out of the wall and it arcs and you get an electric shock or anything like that. And it saves on power as well, because you don't get a lot of leakage if you've got a PowerPoint that's not being used for anything, but you can. You still get some leakage. But I guess that's because we do have like more power coming through them. So yeah, but it's not like a reset. Like, we have power boards with reset buttons on them. Like, you know, if there's a surge and it blows the power board. But the PowerPoints, the switches are just to turn them on or off. So you can have something plugged in, but you could turn it off at the PowerPoint, as opposed to just unplugging it. Oh yeah, our panel box has switches as well. We have fuse switches on our panel boxes for resetting and stuff like that. But our PowerPoints, PowerPoints have switches as well for safety. And I think some of the newer PowerPoints have re-switch buttons in the middle as well, so that if there's a surge, it stops the current coming through that PowerPoint. So, you know, you switch up, power's off, switch down, power's on. Okay. Oh, now. Right now, dude. Okay, give me a minute. I'm just going to put on something for a sec while I take Mouse out. He's finally decided it's dry enough and warm enough for him to go outside. So since we're talking about Daniel putting his finger in PowerPoints, let's have a bit of Superman Dan.
I'm a math man, yeah, I count cans, live in a trailer with rusted pants. Mom's dog's bald, it's got no flair, lost all its hair, and it don't care. Pink blankets, lies I've told again, footprints vanish like phantom friends. I'm Superman, Daniel, faster than wind, stronger than a chopper with a rotor spin. I rake my driveway while Mom shakes her fist. Super Daniel, yeah, I can't be missed.
I like this one better, I think.
Not allowed on Mama's ATV. She says I drive it recklessly. X wrote her name on my mirror in red. Now I'm searching cold, it's like I lost my head. Dirt roads, rivers, waist high deep. Virginia slims, I'm puff and leap. I'm Superman, Daniel, faster than wind, stronger than a chopper when the rollers spin. I rake my driveway while Mom shakes her fist. Super Daniel, yeah, I can't be missed. No, on Mama's ATV. She says I drive it recklessly. X wrote her name name on my mirror in red. Now I'm searching covers like I lost my head. Dirt roads, rivers, waist high deep. Virginia slims, I'm puff and leap. I'm Superman, Daniel, arrogant and bold. Strutting pop lines in the cold. Work 1 day a week at the sawmill grind. Super Daniel, yeah, I own my time. I'm Superman, Daniel, arrogant and bold. Strutting pop lines in the cold. Work 1 day a week at the sawmill grind. Super Daniel, yeah, I own my time.
Even with me running through the woods over the head of the helicopters and head of the drones and stuff like that.
That's a good one.
I love that one. I love Justin on that one. He's so hilarious. Sleep well, Summer Breeze. Thanks for coming in. You can actually see Grover. That's pretty cool. I don't know if Camilla's in here because I can never see Camilla. I noticed though, last week, whenever it was, when I jumped into YouTube to try and give people wrenches, I couldn't see Grover. So, and yet I can see Grover in here when I'm in StreamYard. Well, you know, it's worth it for Lily and Jack. And, you know, why not? I'm actually thinking of, when I do my Maddie Mondays, of doing this back-to-back thing. A few more weeks, no, I shouldn't say a few more weeks. Beginning of October, we'll be back into daylight savings. And I know that when the days get longer that I do start getting up earlier. So I'm actually keen to, if people are interested, when I do my Maddie Mondays, of doing a back-to-back like this. Because, you know, it's easy enough for me to be organised enough to grab a quick lunch and then just go straight back on with Lily and Jack. And then I can still do Lily and Jack on the days when I'm doing Maddie. You're selectively stealth, but it's not on purpose. Yeah. Like Camilla. Yeah. GFI receptacles. So is that like the, but only on wet areas? Is that what you're saying? You only have them like for bathrooms and stuff? Yeah, it is. It's, you know, it's just another day. And, you know, we went and did the high tea thing the other day, whenever that was, Sunday. So, you know, what time is it in Australia right now? It is currently only 2:20 in the afternoon here. So, you know, this is actually a pretty good time for me to do an extra live, because I'm wide awake, because I'm always better after lunch. I'm wide awake. I've had my lunch, and, you know, this is a good time for me before I start to really lose focus. So, cool. So the ones in the wet areas, they have a test and a retest button. Cool. Oh, so it's not too late in Alberta. Okay, cool. Well, I will, when I do my Maddie Mondays, I'll definitely do back-to-back like this, because it works for me. It's, you know, it's easy enough to just jump straight on. Your invisibility cloak is too invisible for me to see. Plus, I wear my contact lenses much longer than you're supposed to. I never tried contact lenses. I'd lose them. I'd be hopeless. I would completely lose them. So I just stick with my glasses, which I can't wear when I'm looking at my computer, because I got the gradiated ones. So I still need to get around to getting myself a pair of glasses just for my MacBook, which would make it so much easier. Anyway, Daniel and his, oh, well, I don't have receipts. Well, no, he doesn't actually specifically say that. He's like, you know, she's asking him, have you got receipts? And he's like, well, I can't say if anything like that exists. Like, it's a big secret. Because, you know, that's so crucial for the investigation. Like, seriously, 128 in Pictou County. Wow, that's kind of late for people over Nova Scotia way. That's for sure. So yeah, he's not going to say no, it doesn't exist. The closest he's going to get is I can't say if that exists. Yeah, same here, Bonza. I wouldn't go near it. If there was any moisture, I wouldn't even touch the test button. Nope, not a chance. Which is, now I missed where you said you were from. Oh, you're Alberta. You're in Medicine Hat, Alberta. Gotcha. Cool. And he's going to double down on this whole I can't say if it exists.
It's not in my best interest or the investigation's interest for me to divulge information like that. I'm not going to say it exists or it doesn't exist.
Okay.
What a toss-up. What a complete, utter toss-up. Yeah, and look, I would imagine that if they weren't suspects long ago, the RCMP would have come out and said, look, we don't suspect them. Honestly, it's like, I can't say if that exists. It's not in my best interest or investigation's best interests. It is like he's got some national secret. This is crucial for Canada's national security that he does not divulge this information. Sometimes it's hard with Daniel to decide what the dumbest thing he's ever said is, though, because just when you think he's said something that's got to be the dumbest, he comes out with something new that's even dumber. I'm still with the drones, him communicating with the drones using sign language. That's possibly still my number one dumbest. But we might have to try and work out a list of Daniel's top 10 dumbest things. I know, I think it's pretty cool that there's a place called Medicine Hat. That's way better than some of the places we've got here in Australia. Yeah. Yes, we need to add the bathroom breaks into the whole silliness. And this is just after one of his bathroom breaks, isn't it? Did we just, I think the last bit of audio we had before was one of his bathroom breaks. Oh, yeah. Federal Agent Dan Martel. Oh my gosh, now that beats anything Australia has. Is that for real? There's a place called Head Smashed in Buffalo Jump. Wow. Yep, I think you are totally correct. Although, you know, maybe it was one of the drones that followed him over to Jordan's place, because didn't he say there were like all these drones followed him to Jordan's place? Can you imagine driving down the highway behind Daniel and he's driving along and there's a convoy of like 50 drones flying over the top of his car? Because that's what he's trying to tell us. It's just comical. Yeah, exactly. He's just Well, no, because this is the are there receipts in terms of him claiming that RCMP have cleared him and said he's not a suspect. So he can't say there's receipts because there are no receipts. Wow, there's a town on. There really is. Wowzers. That's unreal. Your close encounters of the Daniel kind. Can you picture it? Oh, wow. That is so cool. I'm trying to think of the really dumbass names that we've got here in Australia, and none of them are coming to mind right now. Yeah, hopefully that is the only close encounters he's getting from now on. That's for sure. Seriously, I can't say if they've actually told me that I can't tell you that. That's like top secret because, it's national security. If I tell you that they've given me a text message or if I show you a text message that clears me, that's like top secret. Oh, the nearest village to where you grew up was called Crackpot. I think I've heard of that. Yep, Nora Head, Wooden Bong. What's the Shark Bay or something, which they then changed the name of it to Safety Bay or something. Now, this isn't technically a place name, but I've actually driven past this. We had one of our prime ministers went missing in the ocean back in the 60s, I think it was, Harold Holt. Presumably drowned. He went swimming, he presumably drowned, and he was never found. We have a swimming pool here in Victoria that is actually called the Harold Holt swimming pool, Harold Holt Memorial Swimming Pool. We have a swimming pool named after a prime minister who drowned. Like, yeah, most likely. Yep. Eggs and Bacon Bay, Humpty Doo. There's some doozies. Now this is something that my brother has been told. He works with a lot of mob, like a lot of Aboriginals, like in the music industry. And apparently a lot of the place names in Australia that are Aboriginal place names are basically taking the piss out of white people. Back in the day when they're like, what's this place called? And they're like, well, this is, I can't think of an example right now. It was basically them taking the piss out of white people. And when you look at the translation, it's usually something that's completely making fun of white people. Yeah, Humpty Doo is a good one. There is a town in Tasmania that's called Doo Town, and all the houses have Doo names. And again, I can't think of any of the examples, but yeah, there's some classic place names. There was actually a TikTok that I saw a week or so back, where there was a girl reading through place names, and it was just hilarious. Like, yeah, ours are a little bit interesting, some of the ones. Oh my God, is that in New South Wales somewhere? Oh, that's so classic. Only in Australia, that's for sure.
I can neither confirm or deny
Can you
I'm
confirm,
not
please?
going to say yes. I'm not going to say no.
Yeah, and
Investigators
that's fine.
investigators know I'm fully cooperative, and they end.
Investigators know you're fully something, Daniel. Whether you're fully cooperative, that's a different story. But you are fully something. Now, here's where we get going with the. Oh, you think Western Australia? Aha. He left in 2000. It was worse now. Hang on. What have I missed? Now I've kind of got behind. Oh, totally. Yet anytime we have a referendum, I can't remember how long ago it was. We had a referendum, I don't know, maybe 5-10 years ago, about basically ditching the Crown, because none of us actually give a toss about the Crown. And yet people still in the referendum wanted to stay in the Commonwealth. Diddly squat. All we get from being part of the Commonwealth is periodically when Charlie and his ugly-faced wife want to go for a holiday in Australia, we get to pay for that. That's what we get out of being part of a Commonwealth. That's pretty much it. Even down to my friend who has been here pretty much all her life. She came here as a baby from the UK. Her parents are from the UK. She's just gone on holiday to the UK for the first time in a really, really long time. And she had so much trouble trying to get her British passport, even though she was born in the UK. Yep, we get to entertain a royal from time to time at our cost. That's what we get. And we get a crappy legal system that nobody wants to change because, hey, it's based on the Westminster system, and we're not going to look at how flawed it is. So let's just keep that because we're part of the Commonwealth. So let's keep using all these antiquated systems that really don't work for us in Australia. Yeah, anyway, bit of snark. As you can tell, I'm not a royalist. I've never been a... Actually, I lie. I liked Fergie. We never get... Our referendums never get through. I think there's been one in the entire history of Australia that's passed. I don't think it was 25 years ago. I think it's probably... Oh, was it 25? Oh, God. Don't say that. Now I'm going really senile. But I do remember that it was one of those things that was just a complete flop. And most Australians are going, well, who the hell voted to stay part of the Commonwealth? Because we don't want it. And that's no offence to anyone in the UK. It's just that it doesn't have any meaning for us. Yeah, I actually can't think of anybody that I know, not even my grandparents. I think the only people I know, I've ever known that were monarchists were like my best friend's family because they were from the UK. They moved here when she was a little baby. I know. Like, why do we want them here? They're not welcome. Like, sod off. We don't need royals visiting Australia at our expense. Yeah, I think. Although I think there's a lot of Australians who are like, they came as free settlers. So like my great, I don't know how many greats grandfather, his family came here. That their passage was paid for them to come here as like workers. So I'd be interested to know what percentage of Australians actually do have convict heritage. That said, I've got convict heritage, but it depends on what state you're from too. So I think a lot of people in like Western Australia, South Australia, Queensland probably don't have convict heritage. Yeah, see, I never liked Andrew, but I liked Fergie. But she's probably the only royal that I ever really liked. I did like Diana. And I know here in Australia that, a lot of us were devastated when Diana died. But when she died, that was it for me. I was no longer interested in the royal family. Yeah, exactly. Let's just pay for a failed royal to come to Australia and we'll pay all their expenses just because of who their family is. Like, yeah, good on you. Sorry, too much snark happening there. Oh, that's pretty cool. We're a mixed bag. A very mixed bag. My dad's family building the rail line in Tasmania, the timber industry in Tasmania. Mum's family was more the academic side of things. So my grandfather was an accountant. Lots of teachers in our family. A few ministers, a few church ministers. And then going right back, you've got your convict heritage as well. But like my great something or other great grandfather was one of the people that helped build Bendigo. Our town hall has all this gorgeous plaster work in it, and it also has gold leaf everywhere, and he did that. There's a lot of really gorgeous old plaster work around Bendigo that was actually his work back in the late 1800s. And, like architects and stuff. So, mixed bag for my family. But anyway, totally squirreling. Thank you, Hugging Demons. Let's get back to it. I'm glad someone got me back on track.
They're of the understanding that I'm doing everything I can. Like, that's why it bugs me too. Like I said on Charmaine's, you guys don't have to send investigators everything, because I talk to them and I tell them everything. The other day when I was on Charmaine's, I sent them the link for the live.
What a hero. Don't put any tips in about me, peoples, because I put all my own tips in. Thank you. Good on you, Daniel. That's we're going to go with that. No one's going to put in any tips about you anymore now, because we know that you're going to put all the tips in yourself. Like, because he's doing everything. He does everything. He's a hero. You guys don't have to send investigators everything, because I talk to them and I tell them everything. Here's the thing, Daniel. If you were telling them everything, why are you still free? If you were telling them everything, why are we still waiting for someone to figure out where Lily and Jack are? Like, seriously. I'm fully cooperative, and there is the understanding that I'm doing everything I can. You are doing everything you can, Daniel, but it's got nothing to do with the investigation. He is. He's so transparent, he's invisible. Yep. Yep, that's that. That's what it is. They're the tips he's talking about. He puts in his own tips. Oh, that's a scary thought.
Like, they know everything I do.
I was gonna say,
I tell them everywhere I go. Or the drones just follow me. Either.
I tell them everywhere I go. All the drones just follow me. Because, you know, that's what they're here for. They just follow him everywhere with drones. I'm so totally having this vision right now of this car driving along Gellock Road with an entourage of drones, like following along behind, keeping tabs on him. Like, oh yeah, they knew everything I do. They watch me every minute of the day. They follow me with the drones. Do you think he believes the stuff he's saying, or does he just think that we're all this stupid that we believe it? Because that's my big question. Every time he starts coming out with this, he was. The moment he starts heading in this direction, every time I hear him with this, I wonder, does he truly believe it? Is this some delusion that he's in? Or is it that he just thinks we're complete utter half-wits? Like,
One.
yeah,
You don't have to tell me this, Sonny. It's completely fine. Like, I know everybody sends stuff into them.
The only thing that pissed me off was that, well, I'll say it pissed me off because Alana said that she wanted the conversations that I had with Darren for the police, the RCMP, and I was like,
I had contemplated leaving this next bit out, but I'm just going to play it anyway. It's just another talk about the crap that's gone on in the background. So I'm just kind of probably going to play it through and not comment a lot. Yeah, welcome in, Wiley. Oh, yeah. He's such a whiner. Such a whiner. Everyone has to cover for Daniel, and Daniel's got all these ridiculous stories.
Yeah, no problem. And then I see that she attached Cheryl to them as well. And I was just like, so
Cheryl would find a way to be attached.
You know, and then that little dick fuck, whatever his name is, Wolfie, he acts like he just somehow.
Whoops. Sorry, I didn't even realize that was still in the audio. My apologies. Oh, thank you, Sonny. You're going to get me in trouble.
That they got shared in this group between a few of us people, and I just miraculously shared it. Oops, my bad. Shut the fuck up, suck up. Don't buy that bullshit for a second.
I think what the main thing with Wolfie was he just tried to fit in. He's just trying to fit in.
Yeah, it's like a loser trying to fit in there, like a square peg or a round peg trying to fit into a square slot. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I get it, right? He's trying to befriend everybody. Unfortunately, people like that cause drama and stuff like that.
Sorry, I realized that I probably should have edited that bit out. I thought I was leaving significant stuff in, but I missed that completely. I'd forgotten. When I edited this one, I was just kind of scrolling through, and it was getting quite late at night. She was. It was golden. Like, gotta love some of the things that comes out of Sunny's mouth sometime. Let's be real. This is something that Sunny would have liked to have said about Daniel. The thing is, they're both using Wolfie as a whipping boy, essentially. This isn't directed at Wolfie from either of them. For Daniel, this is a deflection for him because the attention is off him. For Sunny, you can bet that while she's saying stuff like that she's actually visualizing Daniel. I mean, yeah, Wolfie didn't do himself any favors, and I think it well and truly backfired on him. I think he's still got a channel. I don't know. But for neither, this is not about him for either of them. It's just a convenient target because Sunny's been listening to Daniel for what, probably 2-3 hours by this point, probably longer. And this is probably just her way of just getting. Wolfie was some guy who popped up, and he was communicating with all the content creators behind the scene, and he was, getting information from one content creator and then going to another content creator with, I've got a scoop. And he gradually just kind of shot himself in the foot to the point where I think nearly every content creator's got him blocked these days. Because, anyway, I won't go too far down that. But, yeah, he's a nobody important. Anita's bester. Yeah, I don't know. He was just some dude that popped up and wanted to be part of the crowd. Wow, you watched that live with no breaks. Nice work. Unreal.
Then everyone starts getting sick of them.
Well, I know at the start of this investigation, you guys were all like a fairly tight-knit group, right? And I think since then, everybody's kind of had their quarrels with each other, and the attacks have been waged on each other. And it's like there's kind of like this infighting. I'm not saying with you in general, but this infighting with the creators now. And
it's always been there, to be honest with you.
Yeah, but I think it's become more apparent, or maybe it's become clear. There's more clarification on.
Daniel loves when the topic changes to something like this because it allows him to act moralistic. Suddenly, the focus isn't on him, and he can suddenly present himself as being so full of morals. Look at me, I'm the good guy. Yeah, tax wage. He has to use his words.
These two individuals are sticking together, or these two individuals over here. And because I see a lot of these channels, they openly attack. I'm not going to say the channels, but we all know who they are. They openly attack other creators.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like that at the start. Your perspective is much different. I understand from your point of view, as being, in the world that you're in, your perspective is different. And, you guys want to, follow guidelines that, the unspoken rules, we'll call them. And I understand that he broke those unspoken rules. And you know, that's in conclusion, we are where we are today.
In conclusion, we are where we are today. It does. He puts on his snooty bitch voice when he's doing this. He's better than all the content creators. I can imagine it was tough. I couldn't go through like an hour of that live stream. I started listening and he was so pretentious and obnoxious at the beginning that I was like, I can't listen to this. Oh yeah, the word salad bar, 100%. So in conclusion, this is his thoughts on Wolfie now. In conclusion, this is, you know, we are where we are today. But it's made him feel good because he's now been able to basically crap all over content creators without it directly associating anything with him. He's been able to, yeah, like Ariel said, put on the snooty bitch voice. Just so perfect. I'm better than all these people and I can point it out to you right now. Now he's going to continue. Oh, he did. Although there's a bit that I edited out from this audio where someone in the chat must have called her out and said, "Do you believe this crap from him?" And Sunny went on a very long rant that lasted for about 5 minutes saying, just because she's got him on her show doesn't mean that she believes him. But, you know, after that, he went and had another tweak or whatever he was doing. So he's forgotten that already. So he thinks that she's lapping it up. He's got an audience. Sunny has a way with these conversations with someone like Daniel, putting them at ease, making him think that she genuinely believes him, that she's not sitting there trying to bite her tongue when he says dumbass shit. So he's just barreling on, oblivious to the fact that if he saw her, her eyes would probably be rolling back in her head. Yeah. Yep, exactly. So ethical. I look down on the likes of YouTubers from my pedestal beside my lawyer while we try to keep me from jail for my acts, which are totally acceptable because I have ADHD. Yeah, exactly. He's a hero. He is a hero, and I still don't believe that he has ADHD, but that's just my opinion personally. He's not finished. He's never finished.
So you are where you are today, I should say.
And this is such a strange case. This is absolutely, for Canada, has to be the strangest case for missing children. Absolutely 100%. And this is why a lot of people in the US picked up on this case. Whenever there's something odd or strange, and especially when it involves children and stuff like that, but especially when there's circumstances like around it. And so the minute they show, no offense, but the minute they show, you know, where these children lived in the home and stuff like that, people just get intrigued by it because, you know.
But the children were never neglected or abused. That's one of the biggest misconceptions is you have Darren coming out saying that, if they would have lasted a couple more months with Daniel, they would have died of starvation.
Yep. Let's get on the defense again, Daniel. So Sunny was working up to something very carefully here, but she never got a chance because Daniel straight up had to go on with the misconceptions. Oh yeah. She was getting ready to hammer him. The no offense was, get ready, I'm just about to cut you down to size. That about sums it up, Charlotte. Um, sadly, it does appear that way, doesn't it? Yeah, let's just ignore the photo from Jack's excursion. The fact that CPS came for a visit. The fact that they had to be clothed when they got to school because they didn't have warm enough clothes. But yeah, no, that's just a big misconception. They were never neglected or abused. Not for one moment, apparently. Everyone else is just delusional. It's just some big mass delusional thing that people don't know what they're talking about. Gotta deflect.
Like, that is such a terrible thing and a terrible perspective to have. And it's such a disgusting thing for someone to say.
I mean, because
this is him reacting to Darren saying, "Oh, they would have lasted a couple of more months with Daniel. They would have died of starvation." Now, I don't believe that they would have died of starvation. I think the writing was on the wall. Malaya choosing to stay there, sooner or later, there was going to be a death. And I've said this before. Whether that death could have ended up being Malaya, whether it could have been Malaya and the children. Yes, they were abused. But we know that Earl was bringing food for them. We know that they were getting food at school. So while they may have continued to be extremely healthy, well, not extremely healthy, but at least fed, it wasn't going to stop the bruises and stuff. No, according to him, he doesn't abuse women and children. Doesn't name them specifically because then it's harder to deflect from that. But he doesn't abuse women or children. Yeah. He claims that Malaya would hold a leg out and trip Jack on purpose. I suspect that was more of a Daniel thing and he's blaming it on Malaya. Yep, his DID, drug addiction disorder. Wasn't him. And that's the thing. When he starts coming out with stories about Malaya or stories about the children, it's very hard to know what's truthful. I mean, the story that he came out with about Jack wandering off from Paddy's place and heading along to the school. Yeah, she did, didn't she? She said that Daniel would throw things at Jack and laugh. Daniel was encouraging his son to bully Jack. If they wouldn't their noses would stretch from Nova Scotia to British Columbia. So true. So true. We know the truth here. I don't know why Daniel thinks anyone's going to believe him coming up with this shit. Why deflect? Why try and deny it when it's pretty much proven?
Aaron is the one that basically said, kind of about the abuse, really. And then he kind of was like, but, I mean, and then it's kind of like he said it and then he was like, kind of like justifying the answer, type of thing. And he also said that when Patty asked him to go take Malay out of the situation with you.
I heard that, but I also found out that was false.
I'm just going by what Darren said.
Yeah, of course.
Right.
And it's hard to sift through the bullshit when
Well, it is.
yeah, it truly is.
No, it
It's
is.
I'll come back to the Darren thing in a minute. Something that has struck with me since I was a teenager. I can remember one night, Mum and I went to get pizza for dinner, and we'd gone in, we'd ordered our pizza, and we were sitting in the car, and there was a takeaway shop next door to the pizza shop, and we saw a woman, and this was before mobile phones, so there wasn't much we could do other than mention it to the people in the pizza shop. We saw a woman run out of the back of the takeaway shop, like it must have been like a house at the back, start running up the laneway, and this man came running out of the same place, followed by a little boy who was probably maybe 10 years old. And the man was beating the crap out of the woman in the laneway in front of his 10-year-old child. And it's something that has stuck with me for life because it was such a traumatic thing for me as a teenager to see and to realise that the man was pretty much normalising this in front of his child. And to this day, I wonder if that kid grew up to be as abusive as his father. I mean, I can't remember how it was dealt with. I know Mum did, make phone calls and things like that. But, it is teaching a child to abuse it's wrong. Yeah. Even just teaching his son to do that to Jack, that's a form of abuse. It's just heartbreaking, the impact that this one man, exactly, the impact that he's had, and he's still just deflecting and acting like there's nothing wrong. Yep. Oh, cool. So exposing a child to abuse or DV is considered child abuse in Canada. There have been women who've had their kids taken by CPS because they didn't leave someone who was abusing them. That's good to know. That is good to know. I wonder if that factors in a little bit with baby M. It's I don't know, it's just disturbing. It really is. The whole situation of this case is disturbing, upsetting, just so very wrong. I love this photo of Jack. Belinda said this is his grandfather's shoes that he was wearing. And he just looks so flummoxed. He just is like, I suspect that he couldn't even lift his feet. But it is just one of the cutest photos of Jack on the planet, honestly. It really does look like they loved being at Belinda's place. Lily with that hat that's nearly bigger than her. And they were denied this. They missed out on 2 years of spending time with this fantastic grandmother who, she'd move heaven and earth to find these children. Sorry, I just got sidetracked there, but I try not to look at these photos too much. I like to use them as a reminder of why we're here. But there are times when I look at them and it does hit me that just the what this case is about, it just really hits me sometimes when I look at these photos. I mean, Lily, bless her, she always had that smile on her face. It's like, yeah. Anyway, let's hear a little bit more about Durwood. Yep, apparently Australian cops will tell you that. I don't know if they still do it, but apparently that used to be the way of doing things in Australia many, many years back when they needed questions answered. I can think of a few criminals here in Australia that could use a bit of phone book treatment, which I shouldn't say. Okay, I'm going to skip. I'll skip whatever's going on with comments. I'm behind, so I'll just keep going a little bit more with this.
No, I know, because I live in this world where I constantly get messages. It's, did you do this? Did Malaya do this? It's just crazy, the stories and conspiracies that people, make up out of thin air, or when someone says something and then it goes through so many third parties that what you hear at the very end of the statement from where it originated, it's completely different.
Oh, for heaven's sake, Daniel. Here's the thing. Well, that's a good question too, because, messing around. Daniel's take on it was that when they were out walking through the woods, that she would trip him up and make him fall. It just doesn't fit with what we know about Malaya, in my opinion. Unless it was like a game, but then she would be probably carrying baby M. I can't even see her going for walks in the woods with them. So, I'd be very surprised if she ever was part of that whole thing of going for walks in woods, which throws his narrative out the window completely. And it could just be something like playing in the house, and, kind of doing that, tripping them up and grabbing them as they fall just for fun. Spot on, Hemi. When you lose 2 children, there's going to be questions. Lots of them. But this whole thing of, there's all these stories being put out by people that, the more they get told, the more that they completely change. The thing is, the stories that are coming out that are not truthful are coming from Daniel. Probably, I don't know, maybe 80% of the stories that come out that aren't truthful are originating from Daniel and being spread around. That's where I'm at with that. It is so common for an abuser to turn around and blame their victim and say their victim did it, not them. Chances are maybe there's something recorded at the school of Jack going to school with grazers or something. Well, yeah, 5 because he's not allowed to see any of the kids. Why, Daniel, are you only allowed supervised visits with baby M? Why is it that your ex-wife won't let you see your other children at all? That's what I think too. It is classic. It sounds to me like classic Darbo. He said she had a dark side, and he gets this. Yeah, it is. It's like he's pleased with himself when he comes out with that sort of crap. It is. It's like, and hi, you're saying hi to Joyce, but it is. he gets this excited tone in his voice when he's crapping all over Malaya and accusing her of things. It is Darvo to the core. Let's make her out to be the abuser here, because that makes him look like he's not done anything wrong. But this whole BS of, it goes through so many parties that, these stories, they just keep changing because of the Darvo is deflect, attack, reverse victim and offender. So it is a classic move by an abuser. So instead of taking accountability, they deflect. They find a way of deflecting it away from them. It's not me, it's the weather. The attack is you go back on the attack at the person who's, accusing you. So I can't think of an example right now, but, saying something about Malaya that she does that's really bad. Then reverse victim and offender is basically flipping it so suddenly he's the victim and she's the offender. It's a bit like the cheater accusing their wife of being she's the one who did it, she's cheating. Barry Morphew's got Darbo down to he had that nailed. It is classic abuse strategy, basically. Coercive control relationship, especially when there's abuse involved. And Daniel's got it nailed. Pretty much, probably 90% of what comes out of his mouth is, you could fit it there in terms of Darvo. I always forget the A in terms of the attack, or and I'm always like, well, it's it's deflect and it's reverse victim and offender, but it's an A in the middle. It is a good description of it. Yeah, his gaslighting. He doesn't like to do direct accusations. Instead, what he does is he gives a part of a story, and he gives just enough of that part of a story to lead the audience in the direction he wants them to go. So he gives them the information, knowing that he's given them enough information that they should reach the conclusion that he wants them to reach. So when he talks about the children going missing, and he talks about Jack's his blue jacket thingy, and he's saying, well, it's too high for Jack to reach. And he's also saying, look, there were no chairs or anything moved in the kitchen. I could hear somebody in the kitchen, but there were no chairs moved in the kitchen. So that's part of his attempt to convince people that Cindy went into the house and collected the children, collected Jack's jacket, and walked them out of the house. And he does that a few times where he's directing things at Cindy and Malaya. I don't think he did get a bit cocky after his thing with DT, where he did suddenly come out with a few accusations. Because he was still teaching Jack how to zip up his jacket, because, so Jack couldn't have got his own jacket down. Jack couldn't have put his jacket on. And, well, there were noises in the kitchen, but there's no evidence that the kids had moved anything. So there must have been someone there that was tall enough to do that. And then the talking about, with Malaya and her and Cindy, well, just before she left, there were maybe up to 6 phone calls a day. He wants people to go that extra step, but he's making sure that he's pretty much led them right to the gate. All they have to do, he's even opened the gate for them. All they have to do is step through that gate to reach the conclusion that he wants them to reach. Yeah. And he's probably regretting that now. I think his first thought when people mentioned the scratch was to go straight away to the guilt. It's a huge bloody sign of guilt when you've got a gash down your face like that. And so he probably just, the first thing that came to mind. So, trying to say it's a scar. And maybe this was something, because in that in the end of May interview, it looks like it was starting to scab up. It had scabbed over. And I'm wondering if maybe someone was putting a bit of makeup on it to try and help him cover it up. So maybe someone suggested to him, say it's a scar. Or maybe, I know that there was a lot of discussion early on and people debating whether it was a scar or a gash. So maybe he just picked up on that conversation and went with that rather than thinking, are you right? He's a tool. Mouse. Hang on. Sorry, I think he's stopped. The boogeyman must have been at the door. Oh no, someone's let Hemi off the chain. Oh dear. Yeah, Mouse is quite offended by Daniel's claims. Now I saw a really good comment up here about there you go. Yeah. Which is, again, a classic narcissist strategy. I never said that. So all these hints that he is oh, sorry, BTTV. I didn't realise you were in here trying to sleep. You're spot on, Charlotte. That's exactly what he's doing. He's never outright saying anything that is a direct accusation of Cindy or Malaya. He's just making sure that people are going to draw the conclusion he wants them to draw, so that down the track, when people say, well, you accused Malaya of this, he can say, no, I didn't. So what is your problem, you crazy dog? What? I think, yeah, plausible deniability. So true. We didn't have red Muppets back then anyway. But yeah, this is what it's about. It's plausible deniability. I never made any accusations against Malaya. People just drew that conclusion from what I was saying. Like, it's again with the, after Malaya left, 2 of his tops went missing. And the best one, my favourite one, there was a hand-sized hole in the garbage bag. like, what other conclusion are we meant to draw from that when he's painting the picture for us? But he wasn't outright saying, oh, I think it was Haley. He every time he thinks he can get away with it, basically. He thinks that people believe him, and he doesn't realize how obvious it is what he's doing. It's just insane. Anyway, I think Mouse probably needs my attention right now. And you're good. You're good. It would be a boring live stream if we didn't have a little bit of craziness happening. So, yes. And I think that's what he wants us to, how he wants it to picture it. Like a Looney Tunes hole. It is the size of a hand. So true. Yeah, you get some sleep, Hemi. It is so true. That's how I picture it, and I swear that's how he wanted people to picture it. And you see that smirk on his face when he's talking about it, and I swear he was picturing it in his own head. Oh, who knows? There were so many stories about where the tops were found. Who knows? Because the stories change so frequently. They really do. It's just absolutely insane. He thinks he's believable. That's the crazy irony of all this, isn't it? Anyway, I should probably wrap it up because you know that Mouse is going to punish me if I don't stop when he says I need to stop. He will find something that he can get hold of and destroy. So if he's telling me he needs my attention, that's definitely my cue. And, you know, time to go and chill out and find something to do for the rest of the day. Thank you for the birthday wishes, Joyce. Very much appreciated. I've already had way too much cake and everything like that. So I think I'll just, you know, have a chill out afternoon. Anyway, thanks for coming in, people. Please remember to hit the like button on your way out because that always helps. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe. If you're listening on replay, please leave comments because comments are always good. Yeah, thanks for coming in, and I'll catch you all in the next one.